Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. Now, I've always had my reservations when it comes to FSD being solved and have instead tried to value Tesla more on their other products and services without depending too much on FSD. But it would seem the market has got ahead of me and is placing significant value on FSD now, particularly with the latest AI wave. But just with EV sales and energy alone, and FSD as an advanced driver assistance system, then even with a P ratio of 25 to 30, I'm happy with Tesla's valuation if they can end up hitting around 5 million units a year by even around 2026, which I think is more than achievable, given the current factories have a capacity of over half that when Cybertruck is ramped up. Elon has said FSD will also be ready this year. There is, however, not so much credibility on Elon's FSD timelines, as he has been saying this since 2016, and I try not to get swept too much into the hyperbole, but I'm starting to feel a little more convinced at the moment. Perhaps it's due to the progress we're seeing in AI, making these possibilities more believable, or whether it's Elon suddenly talking about FSD version 12 and the fact it won't be beta. I mean, are we supposed to infer that is meaning it's solved? If we knew guaranteed that FSD was going to be solved even by 2030, say, guaranteed, and robotaxis were possible, then you could work out how much you think FSD will be worth and discount it back today. 7 more years of FSD research, development and data is massive, of course, particularly considering how more powerful microprocessors will be by that stage. Then we have the more powerful hardware in the vehicles themselves, with hardware for this year, higher definition cameras, and whatever other specifications we may soon discover. However, it won't stop there either. After that will come Hardware 5. And Tesla will keep evolving and improving as technology inevitably improves. And possibly the rest of the hardware too. Not just the actual computer, but the entire car. The only name that Elon has officially given the new Gen 3 vehicle is the Robotaxi. Sure, it's very likely a compact, as it makes sense in many levels, given that something like over 80% of Uber trips are single passenger. It makes sense to be a smaller vehicle. If Tesla can get away with a smaller vehicle, then they can also make many more of them, using smaller batteries, and thus as many as possible joining the Robotaxi fleet. This is Elon's business model. So much of it is coming down to getting cars on the road. Like when he said Tesla would even sell vehicles at a loss if necessary, just so the fleet is out there and as large as possible, so Tesla can make the money from the software. Therefore, the same would hold true for the Gen 3 Compact or Robotaxi. Get as many out there as possible. I know people are guessing how much these cars will cost too, like a $25,000 to $30,000 compact, and especially with tax credits. But Elon has actually not officially said that these vehicles will even be for sale to the public. The closest thing we have to infer this is a $25,000 Tesla announced on Battery Day, which Elon later said they were no longer working on, and instead concentrating on a robotaxi. We have, however, been told that these vehicles could cost around $17,000 for Tesla to produce. I mean, there's a chance that FSD is actually solved this year, as Elon says, or perhaps early next year. And at the end of next year, Mexico starts producing these robotaxis that go into a fleet in certain areas. I think this is a long shot, as there is the regulation side of things too. I guess what I'm really saying is we still don't know Tesla's plans, and for some reason, no one ever asks. Despite countless opportunities, we always get more consumer-based questions. Why doesn't anyone ask if the compact car will be for sale to the public? Anyway, my point is that this vehicle does sound like it will be more designed around FSD or robotaxis than the previous models. Perhaps it will have cameras in higher positions to allow better view, have mechanical braking so it can stop faster, and of course be smaller and lighter. So perhaps it's possible that FSD is solved earlier in this vehicle than the others. Anyway, with all of this, we would certainly hope that FSD would surely be solved before 2030. So the question is perhaps how much earlier than 2030? Perhaps 3 or 4 more years could be believable too. Some people even think 2024. But 2026, perhaps that's a real possibility. It doesn't matter too much if it's 24, 26, 28. I think if it takes that long, we'll be seeing huge amounts of progress and make more people realize that is indeed going to happen. Interventions may end up being so infrequent and dwindling more and more that it only becomes inevitable that it will be solved. The biggest non-concern is the competition. There isn't any. Okay, sure, some are already using robotaxis now with LiDAR, but it's not feasible or scalable. It doesn't drive particularly well either, and the journeys take longer and annoy other drivers. Tesla have all the time they need to solve FSD, because who else is coming along? There is this huge moat of data Tesla have acquired over the years. It's growing exponentially. Then all the engineers that Tesla have hired who specialize in this and have been working on progressing the system for years and years now. It would be really difficult. Anyway, there's no one else collecting data to this level that Tesla are these days. So competition is not a concern, meaning that by the time Tesla do solve FSD, then it will be a monopoly. And if any other auto OEM wants to compete with FSD, then they will have to license Teslas. Look at the progress we've seen even just over the last couple of years. Remember, Tesla moved to a new system, removing radar and relying on vision and a neural net, similar to how humans drive, with eyes and a brain. So perhaps this new architecture does require more training still, as we had to start again in some aspects. Tesla is still collecting data on training this system, and it is learning, so perhaps we can expect a step change of sorts eventually. The real step change many of us are hoping to see is when Dojo is incorporated into training the neural net and can add in continual simulations to learn driving behavior. We haven't heard much about Dojo lately, and its use with FSD, so there's always hope there are some advancements in that area too. This might be why Elon thinks it truly can be solved this year, or perhaps next year if we have Dojo online running an almost infinite amount of scenarios or edge cases. It will eventually become safer than a human, but that doesn't mean you may just want to go to sleep and trust it. Although perhaps maybe some of you will. Perhaps in the early days though, people will still stay alert as well, just using their phone but still glancing up to check the car driving okay, or giving the car their attention when it goes through particularly difficult spots. Eventually, trust will be assured as the driver feels more comfortable and as the car becomes safer. It may not be too long until it's twice as safe as a human. Then, with data like that, which Tesla will be able to clearly illustrate, what do the authorities do? It's their duty to protect the citizens. Here we have hard evidence that you're twice as safe in a full self-driving car than driving yourself. Then surely they should pass regulation and allow them to self-drive, along with robotaxis too. As for investors, the closer we see this progressing and looking like it could actually be solved, even in the next few years, the stock price will increase with the confidence, along with other things Tesla do in the meantime, like a successful ramp of the Cybertruck, will only further reinforce the confidence we have in Tesla's engineers. FSD is already an absolutely astounding product, and if you showed a person even just 10 years ago how there is this company that makes electric cars and all the cars they make can self-drive to the level of FSD beta we have today, they'd be blown away and probably say, oh my god, I've got to invest in this company. But perhaps it's been happening too slowly and we're becoming too complacent and spoiled and forget to realise how truly amazing FSD is already, even if it's not quite yet safer than a human. Tesla and Elon aren't giving up. The stock will always be backed by the fact that Tesla is the leader in FSD. Hi there, I'm using Verbalate AI video translation and lip sync software. It's pretty amazing. Watch this. I can translate my videos into other languages. For example, I am now speaking Hindi.
नमस्ते, मैं पहली बार हिंदी में बोल रहा हूं, लेकिन वर्बलेट इसे इतना आसान बना देता है.
Or how about Spanish?
Hola, vaya, increíble.
También puedo hablar español. Sign up at verbalate.ai today to gain early access to trial the product for creators and strategic partners, and gain the ability to translate and lip sync videos in all major languages. You can view the info in the description below.